Gents, how are you today? How are you today? Nice to see you again. Why am I in this crazy looking outfit, you say? Well, maybe you didn't say that. Maybe you thought I always dressed in crazy looking outfits. But it is because today I am talking about a fragrance by the famous designer Ted Lapidus. And Ted Lapidus was very well known in the 60s. This style of clothes, that mini skirt, that Twiggy style, he was responsible for a lot of the popularity of that kind of thing. And so today's fragrance I'm talking about is Ted Lapidus creation Vert. Now this fragrance, just as you'd expect, Vert, green tea, very green tea smelling, but I have a few things to say about it. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about Edmund Ted Lapidus. He was born in 1929. He passed away in 2008. He was the son of a tailor who apprenticed with Christian Dior before launching his own brand when he was only 22 years old. He was a Parisian designer. Lapidus fashions had a unisex style with safari themes and military elements. Now I know this outfit is not a safari theme or military element theme, but you'll see. I'll show you some pictures from the time. He's credited for popularizing blue jeans in mainstream fashion. Bet you didn't know that. He was popular with celebrities like Twiggy, who was the quintessential model of the day, Brigitte Bardot, who doesn't know Brigitte Bardot, and the Beatles. And here's something I thought was really cool. You know the really famous cover from Abbey Road with the Beatles walking across the street? And in the front, John Lennon is in the front, and he's wearing a white suit. It's a Ted Lapidus suit. So, you know, I sort of feel like that's kind of a big deal. But you wouldn't ever, how would you ever know that? Who would ever think that? No one who asked that. Hey, John Lennon, whose white suit are you wearing? You know, I mean, maybe people knew back then, but in my experience, and even when I worked in fragrance and cosmetics, I remember we sold some of the Ted Lapidus fragrances, but there wasn't really much hype about them. They didn't do a lot of advertising. They were just sort of one of those other lines that we had, but they weren't really, you know, they weren't massive, you know, people, there weren't people hiring, well, they might have been, but I never met any. There weren't people hiring people like me to go around and promote the product at different stores like I did for Cologne and for Oscar de la Renta, because I did do that for those fragrances actually I did that in the 90s, in the early 90s. Ted Lapidus was one of the first designers to use mass market production techniques, making his fashions more affordable to the average consumer. In the 1970s, the brand expanded into accessories and fragrance as haute couture began to fade. First collaborated with L'Oreal to offer the fragrances under the Lapidus name. Now, since 1983, the fragrance license has transferred to Jacques Bogart Group. And I'm familiar with Jacques Bogart Group. I think I've talked about a few of the Jacques Bogart fragrances just in relation to other fragrances I was reviewing for my What's It Smell Like? And that brings me to I love these sleeves. Ha, 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 ha. Woo! Yeah, woo! Okay, so in 1975, the very first Lapidus fragrance came out, and it was called View, V-U. And also, Lapidus has 44 fragrances in the Fragrantica database, so that's not just like a couple, you know, it's quite a lot. And I think Ted Lapidus Creation Original is probably the most popular one, or the most widely known one. I'm not sure which one is most popular. I really like this one. So what's it smell like? It was launched in 2008. It's officially considered an aromatic green. Now this was interesting. 26 people felt it was like green tea from Elizabeth Arden. If you ever watched my channel before, you know I love green tea by Elizabeth Arden, and it's like, I feel like it lifted my spirits at a time in my life when I was really kind of, I don't really get depressed, but I was a little bit, it was a kind of a bummer of a time for me. Even though it was a great time, there were some things going on that were weird. And then anyways, I bought this fragrance and I put this fragrance on, and I'm not kidding you, from that night on, the problems I was dealing with just seemed to lift and go away. So it's one of my favorite fragrances, and I use it a lot. Like, it's probably right now really my #1 fragrance that I use most of the time is Arden Green Tea. So 26 people felt it was like Arden Green Tea. And I do agree, yet I also strongly disagree, and I'm going to get to that when I'm done with this list here. 6 people felt it was like Roxy Love from Roxy. 6. So it went from 26 to like 6, 6, 2, 2. Just like most people overwhelmingly felt it was similar to Arden Green Tea. 6 people felt it was like Vestha Natura. Vestha Natura. I've never tried that. 2 people felt it was like Vert from Yves Rocher. Vert from Yves Rocher. I'd love to try that, but I haven't yet. And 2 people felt it was like 4711 Original. And I'm going to talk about that too. So that was the top 5 fragrances that people at Fragrantica felt Ted Lapidus creation Vert was similar to. But I have something to say about it. Ted Lapidus creation Vert, it's very nice. I think it's very pleasing to most people. It's very similar to Arden Green Tea. But I'll tell you what, this is a women's fragrance, but to me, and even to my husband, it smells more like a unisex or shared, gender neutral fragrance. I don't like to say unisex that much, because when I was there when they launched CK1, and the Calvin Klein people at the CK1 launch school, they call them schools or seminars, whatever, you go and you learn about the product, and they usually give you some product. They said, no, we don't want you to say unisex. We don't want you to call it unisex. We want you to call it shared. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing, because back in the 80s, or I don't remember exactly when CK1 launched, but I was there, and I was among the first people to ever get to have it, get to enjoy it. And Calvin Klein said, no. But nowadays people use the word unisex. Oh, my bra showing. I wonder how long my bra's been showing. Why didn't you tell me? My husband told me when I first put this outfit on, your bra's showing. I'm like, oh, okay. So I put it back. Like, good thing it's a flesh tone bra. But now you're going to see that. But I forget what I didn't cover and what I saw. I'm just going to leave it there. Oh, whatever. Anyways. So yeah, this fragrance, when I first put it on, and I first was there trying it, my husband was there, I said, this smells kind of, like a shared fragrance. And we put it on him, and he said, yeah, I wouldn't mind wearing that. I think this is an excellent shared fragrance, even though it says it's for women. It has a bit more of there's something more masculine in there. There's something in there that's slightly more masculine, and I'm not going to reach for it as much as I reach for my Arden Green Tea. I would say Arden Green Tea is the feminine version, and this is the masculine version. But I don't think it smells particularly masculine. I just think it's more, I feel like it's probably got more green aromatic things in it that are used more often in men's fragrance than women's. But I really like it. I would highly recommend it. I think it's a crowd pleaser. But like I said, if you're a guy, don't dismiss it. It might be a good one for you. And people said that it kind of reminded them of original 4711. Well, I have 4711 Aqua Colonia, but I did used to sell original 4711 when I worked behind the counter in fragrance, and this smells very similar to it, but with added green tea and bergamot. But how someone said, this smells so much like original 4711. This smells so much like original 4711 that I have to say, and the 4711 was one of the first unisex or gender neutral shared fragrances that ever existed, because back then when it was first created, it was before the fragrance industry had really differentiated between men's and women's fragrances. It was just kind of like, here's a fragrance for whoever wants to use it. So 4711 smells masculine, yet women can wear it. Sorry, that's probably inaccurate. Time for a dance break. Whoa! I'm like a big butterfly or a bug or something. Like a big butterfly or a bug or some kind. Whoa! Whoa! This is all mini skirt, but I don't think you have enough room to show. I don't have enough room to show that it's a mini skirt. Okay, so yes, kind of similar smelling as well. So if you like original 4711, you've probably tried that. I think you'll like Vert. Oh, and I wanted to mention original green tea, original Arden green tea. That was nosed by Francis Kirkjohn, some unknown guy. No, obviously you know who he is. He's a super famous perfumer. But I want to say he also nosed one Ted Lapidus fragrance. It's called White Soul, Gold and Diamonds. So that's kind of interesting. I think if I go looking for another one, I'm going to look for that, because I like Francis Kirkjohn. I think he's a genius. I've said it before. He's not the only one, I'm sure, but I don't know. I just think he's really smart, and he's got so many different, he's created so many different fragrances that are around that you wouldn't even know unless you went looking them up. You think, oh, it's just Baccarat Rouge 540 and whatever he created over at, Maison Francis Kirkjohn. No. He's been doing this forever. So it's kind of neat to go look and see what else he's created, and whether or not you like it, just because. So that's it for Ted Lapidus Vert. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll give it a try. And if you have tried it, please let me know. And if you have tried anything at all that is green tea or Vert oriented, please list it down below, because I'd like to know, but also other people who watch the videos aren't subscribed or whatever. They're just looking for the fragrance. Maybe they'd like to know some of the other fragrances that I didn't mention here that also are similar to Vert. So it's a little bit of a smooth jam as we head on out of this video, my lovely ladies and handsome gents. I'll see you next time. I hope. Oh.